Hello, hello, hello! Big up, everybody. I love that music. It makes me want to play Dungeons and Dragons right now. It's brilliant. And the film is absolute quality, and that's where that music's from. Everyone's doing good. We're going to talk a bit of Dungeons and Dragons. Jez used to play it back in the day, and I play it quite a bit now as well. So, over to you, Jez, the man, the legend. Here we go.
Well, I got into it. First of all, as I was about 15, 14, I read the classic book, The Hobbit, and it absolutely captivated me. And then I read, obviously, the trilogy, The Lord of the Rings, and that was something special. And then my dad and I, when he was alive, we used to do a lot of war gaming, playing different board game type things. And I remember he came home one day with these books, little A3 size books, and it was Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, "What's this about?" And he's like, "Well, I've heard guys he was working with. They had a group, right? And it started to play this, and I was like, oh, okay." And so I started to read through these, and I thought, well, this is quite interesting. And we bought it was nothing made by Dungeons and Dragons, but we bought it was called The Sorcerer's Cave.
Right.
And it was like a game where you had cards, and they all like links of like going to a cave. They were like different. So each game, every time you played it, you get a different cave. If that makes sense. And it's like a route map type of thing.
Yeah.
And you had characters, and then you'd have monsters and things would happen and all kinds of shit. And anyway, then we sort of transgressed into this new fantasy world. It came about a company called TSR, and a guy was called Gary Sygax.
That's it.
Upgraded to advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and it went ballistic in America. It went ballistic in universities over here in the UK, and all of a sudden, you had groups forming their own little Dungeons and Dragons play groups, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And I got absolutely hooked on it. And it just went on and went on. And I never went to one, but they used to have conventions.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Where in America they were massive. They'd have these massive halls where you have these games going on and going in and stuff like that. And then this magazine came out called White Dwarf.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
an American magazine, and the whole thing went like a nuclear bomb in the UK. And I started. My dad started getting into it and he one weekend said, "Oh, next Friday night, I'm inviting these guys from work, and we're going to play the game or start playing." Right? I said, "Oh, okay." And I remember he came home from work one day, and he'd bought the very early. I've got it here. I'm going to show it. The very first player's manual.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I was enthralled by this. This whole weekend, I just went through it, got to understand what's going on. And the other thing he brought home was the original Monsters Manual, which has got all the monster things in it. That
all the hit points and all that kind of stuff
came into the game, and I was fascinated. Anyway, this Friday evening came, And I remember my mum had made this big pot of chili, and these guys turned up about 7 o'clock, and I would have been about 17 then. I was an apprentice, and we sat down at the dinner table, in the dining room dinner table, and we had all this paperwork and all these different dice.
Yeah.
20-sided dice, da. And we started playing one of the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons modules. And the guys that my dad had invited from work were a lot more seasoned than us. And I remember one of these guys being the dungeon master, running the game, basically. And this this evening started, and it went on until 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because you know yourself, Yeti, once you start one thing, and on and on.
100%.
And it was an amazing thing. And I got so into it that I decided that I wanted to, I had my own characters, and it became quite every sort of Friday we'd be either my parents or we'd be at somebody else's house in this little group, and we'd be playing, and it was brilliant fun. I mean, and then I remember in Oxford Street there was a firm, I think they're still around, called Games Workshop.
Oh yeah, they're still going. But I think they are.
They opened a shop in Oxford Street, and it was the release of a book that everybody had been waiting for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Called this one. Hang on.
That was probably one I bought.
The Dungeon Masters.
Oh, I want that one.
That's the original. And I remember going down with a mate of mine who decided to get into it.
Yeah.
And we queued for an hour and a half to get into the shop to get that book.
Is you in your sleeping bag sleeping outside?
No. Not like that. But we got in there. You could buy all the little lead figures.
Yeah. Painting them all and stuff.
And I remember paying, I think I paid £2.50 for that book. And that is now on eBay in that condition. And it's pretty mint. It's not 100%, but it's pretty. That would go for over 250 quid now.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Being the fact it's hardback as well. And it just went on from there. It's like a real life journey. And I started then, after a couple of 3-4 years, my dad sort of fell out of love with it, and I moved on. I joined a group of dungeoneers, if you want to call them that. And I'd by then written my own sort of dungeon world, and I'd bought all this A3 sheets of paper. A2.
It's massive call, mate. It's massive game.
And it's all like hexagon things. And I wrote my own world of dungeons. So, I mean, it's always the obligatory factor. There was this one, you'd start off in this one village.
Yeah.
You'd be in a pub.
That's right. Yeah.
Your journey, you find the dungeon or the castle or whatever it is you're going to explore. And, I wrote it, and one of my one of my own manuals I wrote was basically everything. I wrote all these things of what monsters would appear in certain different levels. Yeah. And so I became a dungeon master, and I set this I set my own group up, and we used to meet up. And there was about 8 guys that used to play in it, and we went on for hours. I remember one Easter weekend, man. We played Good Friday, Saturday, Good Sunday, and Monday. We did sleep, obviously, but it just
really. What did you sleep for?
But
you got time to sleep.
It got to the point where by then I'm probably 2021, and obviously the beers, going down.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy time, but it was an amazing thing, because it just went absolutely viral at that time.
Yeah, it's what it's like being in another world, isn't it? I mean, that's what's good about it. I mean, I kind of started out by you remember them old adventure books where it was like you go into a haunted house or something, and do you want to go in the cellar, or do you want to go? If you want to go in the cellar, turn to page such and such, and that's where my journey started out on it. It wasn't till sort of like later life that I started to sort of play Dungeons and Dragons. And it was me, my cousin, my brother, and a mate, and this DM who was just like, if you messed around and stuff like that, he made you pay for it. I mean, I can remember the first adventure we had, me and my brother was both like fighters, big muscly fighters, and we was coming in on a boat. And he was like, he turned around to me and he says, right, you're on this boat with your brother or whatever his name was in the game. And what do you want to do? And I said, I want to punch him. So he says, okay, roll to see if you get to punch him. And right, you punch him. So my brother, and then he asked my brother, and my brother says, I want to punch him back. So me and him are beating each other up on this boat. So then the DM just gets really annoyed and basically makes it where we pretty much broke both our arms and our legs, so we weren't allowed to join the game for like a month, and that was the punishment because of the fact that we was messing around. So as soon as someone starts messing around, that's it. The DM just goes, look, I'm not having this. So I'll just chuck a big nasty monster at you that you're gonna have a tough time to beat or something like that to sort of pull you back in line. And that was and we didn't really see much of the game, to be fair, because we'd done that. So, and I mean, a month in D&D, you should be back playing the next week. But it was like, no, you're still injured. He just did not want us back in the game because we were messing around and not taking it serious. But I mean, a little bit about the game, because I mean, I think there's a lot of people in the chat that don't know that much about it. Basically, when it begins, all the people that's playing, you have to write your character and write his characteristics and his background and all this, that, and the other. Now, like Jez said, you'll be in an inn or something, or sat around a campfire, and the DM will say, right, yeah, that's it. Yeah, and you get a character sheet where you have to sort of roll the dice to get all your numbers and everything. And then basically you'll be in it in and you'll have to introduce your character and his background and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of how the story starts. And then you sort of start asking around the town, about quests and things like that. And they'll give you quests, and that's kind of where you go from there. And you pretty much have to roll the dice on everything, don't you, really?
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun fact. I remember in one I was actually, my cousin was massive into it. He was at the University of Cardiff, and he invited me down to join his group for a weekend. And I went down. I had this character. And it was, I think I was about level 9 player at the time, that character.
Yeah.
I went down and we played this scenario, and I befriended a jaguar, beast. I tamed him. I managed to tame him. Anyway, the next day we've gone back and playing with this group again, and we're in this pub. We'll call it that. And I had these things called boots of spring.
Right, yeah.
Boots that could spring, so you run fast. Anyway, the dungeon master deemed that I'd taken these boots off, right?
Right.
Dungeon masters do.
Yeah.
And they got stolen by a thief.
Right.
Right, that had roamed in and taken them. And so I couldn't catch him. He was a dwarf, the character, the quack. So I sent my jaguar after him and killed him. And it's all those that's the great thing about the game, is that anything could happen. And
anything's possible.
The dungeon master could, do you remember the dungeon master screen? And I remember doing it. If the game was getting a little bit slow, I'd just start rolling dice. Right?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do anything. But people would suddenly think, "Oh, hang on, what's going to happen here?"
What's he doing here? Random encounter.
Or I'd have a notepad, I'd write something on a bit of paper, and I'd pass it to a certain character.
Yeah.
I'd say sometimes.
Yeah.
I'd say if that character was like a thief, I'd say you've just stolen so and so's +4 dagger. Right? Don't let him know. And then later in the game, or that evening, whatever, I would then put a note to the guy who's had his knife nicked, and I say, "Oh, you might want to question Frodo, right?
Yeah.
He nicked your +4 dagger.
Caused trouble."
And then have a kickoff. And
yeah.
And that was the whole thing about it. There was endless possibilities of what you could do.
100%.
And that was the dream of it, because the characters. I mean, I always remember when you had to give your what was it? Hang on, what was it called?
Welcome, Anthony. Welcome, Oregon Goon, and welcome, Jamino. Big up, guys.
Oh yeah, your character's alignment. Do you remember that? Where you have to. You could be. Hang on. What's this one here?
Evil, chaotic, neutral.
Yeah. This character I've got here is called Droffen the Pathfinder. He was a ranger, human male, level 7, 66 hits, attack class -6. This is the guy with the pet jaguar, by the way.
Right, yeah.
20 hit points, +1 added per hit on humanoid creatures. And he's only surprised on a roll of a dice 6. So
right.
Came into it, it's great fun. His language is spoken, common, elven, gnome, dryad, goblin, orc, gnoll, common, something, chaotic good, halfling. I mean, it was endless what you could do.
And the languages as well. The languages as well was could come in really handy at times, because you never knew kind of what kind of things you was going to meet. So if you could actually speak Orcish, or or Fey or something like that, Dragonborn or something like that, then you could actually sort of talk your way out of some situations as well. Or just and actually change the adventure altogether. I mean, I DM a lot now, and I've created a lot. I mean, I'm playing a proper campaign, but I mean, I've created bits that don't normally exist, because I know there was a few of the guys that played it before, So I was like, I'll do that. And back in the day, I always used, because the rules have changed now. Back in the day, I'd always play a rogue, and because I used to love the way the rogue worked, where you could. They've nerfed them totally now, which is really annoying. But basically, I would do things like, if I was in the middle of a battle and the enemy was, like, say, over there in a cave, I'd sort of jump to the wall, kick off the wall, kick off the ceiling, and then land behind the creature, and then critical stab him in the back. So I got I got advantage because it was surprise, because he weren't expecting it, and I'm just doing a Spider-Man thing over the cave, and it just you just can't you couldn't beat it. It was just like having a different life. It was just really, really cool. And like say the ones I play now, like you've got them books. Nowadays you don't need them books. There's a thing online called Roll20 where you get the maps and everything, and you get the little character tokens and stuff, so you can actually play it that way and then still play it the same way in respect. But that's kind of how I play it now, and it just makes it a hell of a lot easier. But you still need to write notes. As a DM, you've got to sort of write notes, keep reading the story over and over again until it's completely imprinted in your brain for the Saturday session. But yeah, I mean, I don't think, to be honest, I don't think you can beat it. I think, and I don't know why more people don't actually play it, because it's just so much fun. But anyway, carry on, mate.
No, I think I actually worked at a chap's house 10 years ago, and he had a gaming shop in the town, and I just got chatting to him because he had all these figures. I said, "Oh, are you into Dungeons and Dragons?" He said, yeah. He said, "I run a group on a Wednesday evening in my shop." I said, "All right." I said, "Yeah, I know your shop." And he said, we got chatting. I said, "Yeah, I used to do this, that, and that, advanced D&D and all that." He said, "Oh, well, come along and have a go." I said, "Yeah, I'll be quite into that." Well,
I've got to nod then.
It was quite a different way. It was nothing like how I used to play with the manuals and all that. And I went along a couple of times, but I didn't really get into it, because I think because I was brought up with the original way of playing it, you'd be consulting your manuals. Like if you were a magic user, wizard, in other words, you'd have to consult spells.
Yeah.
In your player manual. So, I mean, I can remember guys who bought the softback version of their manuals, which is fine. But after about 18 months, they were falling apart because you're continually accessing, you're looking up stuff.
Yeah.
If you're a magic user level 20, you have certain level amount of spells you could use and all this and all that. You know that. Like you said the other day, do you remember that spell Burning Hands?
Yeah,
and things like that. And
I got a story about that, actually. I've been playing this game called Baldur's Gate 3, and it's basically based on the 5e thing. So we was all playing it because my mate's a reviewer, so we was all playing it so he could get some footage and stuff. And he don't know that much about Dungeons and Dragons, yeah? So basically we got to a point where there's like 2 spiders just ahead of us, and we're all standing like in front of him. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, guys, I've got these spiders. I've got with this AoE flame spell." Now, he don't know much about it at all, so he's obviously not read the thing. So as soon as he's trying to cast his spell, I just turned around and went, "I bet you're going to set fire to all us lot." And Burning for Hands is basically just goes in front of a 15 cone. So he don't actually fire the fire over there. So he just fires it and just burns us all to shit. Blows himself up as well. Oh, it's hilarious, mate. It's on his review video. I'll have to send it you. because I'm in the review video. I'm the blue-haired Yeti. I picked a character, a cleric with blue hair. So yeah, I'll have to send you the video. It's good. It's good stuff, man. But I mean, the trouble with 5e. Mind you, what? Wait a minute. This Anthony Herbert thing. Who was your favourite character from Dungeons and Dragons? Do you mean the cartoon? Because I can't remember who was in it.
I've never watched it, to be honest.
I watched it, but I can't remember. It's the you got the dungeon master, the bald-headed bloke, the little bald-headed guy. I can't remember the others, but it would have been one with a bow, I would imagine, because they're the type of characters I like.
Do you recall? Oh, I'm going back here now. Late 70s, early 80s. There used to be a Dungeons and Dragons show. It was on about 5 in the evening, kids school time, and it was like kids acting it out, and that was quite a good show. But
yeah, I think I remember it.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I can't remember. It was the program was actually called. I don't think it was called Dungeons and Dragons, but
it weren't Nightmare, was it? Was it Nightmare where they got 3 of them in the behind the counter, and then one of them's in the game, and it's like, oh, you've gone in a room. There's a table. There's some cheese on the. Yeah, I think it was that, wasn't it?
I think it was that.
Yeah. It's good that was. I used to really enjoy that, but some of them kids were thick as shit.
Yeah, they were. I mean, my son in New Zealand plays a much more newer version of Dungeons and Dragons now.
Yeah, so do I.
And I've never really given myself the opportunity to get into it, and I think I've been a little bit naive because I think I grew up with the original setup.
Yeah.
We all sat around a table, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Drinking beer, having something to eat, whatever. And I think I might have to have a look at this because I used to love playing it. My son tends to play one which I think is quite a sort of futuristic type of.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm not really into that. I'm a bit sort of how can I put it? You know, you go into a castle and you go into dungeons and all that palaver.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still around now, but I hear what you're saying about it's all online now. I get that. And I might have a look at it. And think, well, yeah, okay, I could get into this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're running a campaign at the minute, but there's like 5 people in it, and I think the game is actually built for 5 people. But after I've sort of played that one, because I've got into the DMing again, I'm going to look into sort of like making my own up altogether. So, I mean, if anybody's interested in just giving it a go, give it a go. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's entirely up to you, and I can sort of stream it as well if nobody minds being streamed while playing it. And it's just hell of a lot of good fun. It really is, and you can have some really funny moments. I mean, like there's a guy that plays, and he's like, and he'll say stuff like, "Oh, I want to climb up that wall." So then I'll say, right, I'll roll a dice to see whether you can climb up the wall. I'll completely make it up. And I'll just go, no, you didn't climb up the wall. You actually knocked yourself out, and you're out for 3 days.
Well, if you ever do another one, I'll join. I'll join in with you.
Yeah,
I'll have to do some research because it's obviously a totally different situation to what I used to play.
Yeah.
I would be totally virgin to it. I'll give it a go, man. I would give it a go because I'd quite enjoy it. Because my wife actually said to me, "You used to love playing that so much. Why don't you get back into it?" Like,
yeah.
and I said, well, trouble is, it's all different now. You know, I'm a bit old school on things sometimes. I don't always move on. You know, which is not always good. I mean, these manuals are on a shelf in one of the spare rooms where we keep all our books and shit. So I know exactly where they are, and I still to this day, Yeti, I still have a look at them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. To be honest, mate, you'd soon pick it up. I mean, if you played like back in the day, because I mean, I'd not played for ages, and then all of a sudden you got this 5e, so I was a bit sort of cold or whatever on playing it. But you know, I soon got into it. I mean, and with 5e, yeah, I used to have a rogue, but I don't bother with a rogue now. I go with you know, like a ranger. A ranger is bloody deadly at 5e. I mean, at second level, he gets like a thing called Ord Attack, where basically if I shoot one of the orcs or wherever it is and I hit it, I get another shot on the one at the side of it. And then you get like other things where you got Rain of Thorns, where you can fire it down. It just keeps firing thorns off left, right, and centre at the enemy. And there's so many sort of good things to do. And you can make mistakes as well. Mistakes are there as well. So it just depends, and it all comes down to a dice roll. It's like if you decided, you know, if a dragon came up, if you turn around to the DM and say, "I want to fart on it," he will let you try and fart on it, and you'll roll a dice, and if you fart on it, you fart on it, whatever. But you'll die probably afterwards, I would imagine. I don't think dragons are going to be happy about you farting on it. But I'd say Cole say here, from the sound of it, the communal aspect of it back in the day sounded like a massive part of its charm. Online is great, but never as good as in person. I agree with you, but now you've got all the camera stuff where you can all be on camera while you're playing. And then when there's a shock and stuff, you can actually see the reaction of people and stuff like that. So that works quite well. Mama Flossie, can I be the damsel in distress? Abso-fucking-lutely you can. Someone else can save you because I'll be busy washing my hair.
Seriously, I'll be when you start a new campaign. Yeah, give me a shout, mate.
And, 100%.
I'll look into it. Do you still like create your own character and stuff like that? And
yeah,
you do.
Yeah, absolutely the same. It's absolutely the same in that respect. You do the character sheet like you've just shown me. It's pretty much exactly the same as that still, and then basically just give a backstory like, you know, your parents was killed at a certain point and all this kind of stuff. And if you pick sort of a like what you was as you was growing up, like a criminal or something like that, that'll actually give you advantages as well. Because if you was a criminal, you're going to get like +1 on your thieves tools and being able to lockpick and all that kind of stuff. If you was a leader, then you're going to have real good leadership skills and you're going to have decent charisma and things. The only thing I'm a bit thingy with, and I don't really use them that much, is the spells. But that game I've got now that's 5e, that's really sort of helping me out with that. That's the only thing I'm a little bit thingy on. But the fun you can have is just off the scale, and you can do anything. You could make an aliens one where you're all Marines, you know, and you're all sort of going over a planet and checking places, and then the aliens come and all. The what is it? Thing is endless. What's that word? The sky is it sky is endless? I don't know. Whatever, I'm being a space pilot again. Right, okay, so yeah, crack on, Jess, because I need to go and get a beer, mate.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I think Cole, Cole Rossi, you're absolutely correct, man. Back in the day before computers like this, you had, it was a communal thing. You'd sit around a table with people. Sometimes, you know, people invite somebody in you never met before, and during the game, you get to know, because you'd basically have the team of, say, 6 players against the dungeon master. He was there to run the setup, and you'd be there, and you'd have your characters or character per person, and you'd enter the game in. And the beauty about it was every character that was in the game was different. So you'd have a fighter thief, or a ranger, a cleric, a magic user, a fighter, and it, because of their dispositions of how you created your own character, was how you'd play that character. So if you were, let's say, a cleric who was demonic evil, but basically, you supported Satan, you'd have the in tune to the sort of different levels of hell. So, the things that went on were endless, really. And it was, in fact, as you say, Carl, sitting around the table with 5 or 6 blokes, and women, because we used to have 2 girls in our group, and it was real fun. I remember this one girl, I can't remember the name, years ago, but she had this one character, and she was a female cleric, and she was an absolute bloody nightmare, because none of your other characters knew your disposition, right? And she was chaotic evil, and
right, yeah.
I can remember I was a dungeon master, right? And she would cast spells on her fellow characters, but without them knowing. Because she would send me a little slip of paper and say, "I've just cast this spell, right, on so and so," and so I have to send a note to that other person. Say it was Yeti, I have to send a note to him and say, "You've just lost 4 hit points for the next hour."
Yeah.
Now, an hour in that game is a long time, because a lot of things are going to bloody happen. You're going to come across, depends how evil the dungeon master is on the day, because the dungeon master is running it, and he could be like, I'm fucked off with you lot today. I'm going to be an absolute shitbag. Like, you're not going to get any major treasure. You're not going to get any staffs of the Magi or anything like the big awards. You come across a chest, a wooden chest. You'll open it, right, and out will flop, right. I can't think of the full name now, but it was like a green. Oh yeah, the green mold. The green mold. So if the green if the green mold touched you, you'll go moldy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then you'd have to find a magic user or a nice cleric that would cure you. So all these things, it was a game that it was infinitesimal is the word, but it could go on so many different roads and down different alleyways, and imagine, just think of Harry Potter and Diagon Alley, because it can go anywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, saying that, we had a woman playing with us at the start, and she said like, "Oh yeah, I'm really good at this game. I've been playing it for ages." But she was playing it kind of really selfish, and it's like, she wasn't really helping the team or anything like that. So basically, this is what you're capable of doing. So basically, what I did, said to the DM, I said, "I'm going to push her in the fire." And I did, because we kept saying like, you've got to be part of a team and all this, that, and the other. And it's like she was saying, "Oh yeah, but my character's not like that." I said, "Well, we're breaking out of a prison, so you're going to be with us for now, and then you're going to do your horrible stuff and be horrible when we've actually saved you. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to do it now." So basically, I just rolled and pushed her in the fire, and we killed her pretty quick, and she never got to play again. And you had to keep telling her the rules all the time. Even when she'd been told about a spell, it was all, "Oh, how do you do this again?" and all this, that, and the other. And it just got so frustrating. As for that question from Cole, sorry for the novice question, but is it more desirable fun to be a dungeon master or just a normal participant? I would say participant is a lot of fun, a hell of a lot of fun, because you can do whatever. Whereas dungeon master, you can do whatever, but you still sort of sticking to the story. And with dungeon master, it can be quite frustrating when you like put out a really nasty beast and they just kill it in like one go. And you're like, "Oh, you get," But then again, you could do what I did the other week. There was a monster that they opened, that they woke up, and I changed it because he didn't have much hit points and he looked evil and he was a nasty creature. So I made it where he had a shield on him for like 5 or 6 turns. So every time they tried to hit him, they couldn't hit him, and then I removed the shield, and then they was able to kill him. So, what do you think? Do you think dungeon master or participant?
Well, I actually used to like both. I used to run a group dungeon master, but they were also the same group. I used to have my character, and another guy used to be the dungeon master. So it's the best of both worlds. Now, the nice thing about being a dungeon master, I wrote this dungeon story in part of my world that I created.
Yeah.
And it was it was a story that I created. It was just an underground morass.
Yeah.
There was no hallways. There was nothing. It was basically a whole. It was like an entrance, a stone entrance, right, with a wooden door. And he went down some steps, and it was like a marshland underground, right?
Cool.
And it went on forever. It was like the universe. There was no end to it. Okay, but on it were little islands, and on those islands you had to find things. But what I did was I created. Oh no, I set up when I wrote it. Certain devils would appear, and the ultimate one was to kill Beelzebub.
Right.
Because at that time, I know this sounds a bit stupid, I was very much into reading about black magic and all that shit. I was about 19, 20.
Yeah, I was as well. Very
much into the Dennis Wheatley books and all that sort of stuff. And
Aleister Crowley.
Aleister Crowley, yeah. Jimmy Page lives in his house now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
And I was really into that. I could actually give you a very good story here. Right?
Go for it.
This is true. This is true. Mate of mine, Paul, bless him, he's not here with us anymore, but he also was into it. And he said to me, we used to talk about this. He used to participate in the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And he said to me one night, let's try this experiment. I said, what's this then? He said, you have a mirror and you light a candle, right, in front of you and behind you. And I went, right. And he said, you start to read the Bible backwards and the devil will appear. And I went, oh, I'm not sure about that, mate. Anyway,
yeah,
we'd had a bit of, and and we fucking went for it. And the weird thing is, no, he didn't appear.
No.
The candle behind us, right, went black. The flame went black.
Really? Wow.
Fact. When we saw that, we shit it. Boom. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, weren't the one where you chuck salt over your shoulder or something like that as well?
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Salt and sulfur.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of there was a lot of things like that, wasn't there, at that time? But
I swear that.
Yeah.
I swear that is true.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I was talking ghost stories yesterday, so I don't disregard anything that anybody else says. You know, it was epic. It was awesome with Mama Flossie. Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, I mean, I know you won't do this, but I mean, the best way to sort of learn 5e is probably that game I was on about, that Baldur's Gate 3. Because it's 5e down to a T. It's just the ability rolls. You will completely learn how to play it from that. But other than that, it's exactly the same thing as in, right, okay, Jez, you're stood in an inn or you're in a town. To the right of you is like an armor works and all this, that, and the other, you know, and then it's basically, you know, what do you want to do next? And that's basically the way it works. And you can say, I want to, you know, I don't know, set fire to my fort or something, whatever you want to do, you know, you can do, but there has to be like a ability roll. And then when you get the quests and you do the quests, you'll get like better items like +1 swords and a ring that you can wear that makes you invisible and all that kind of stuff. And you know, and you'll get gold for it and you'll get XP so you can level up. And when you level up, you get other skills like things like animal handling. So if you or talking to animals. So basically, if you went into a field and there was a cow there, you could actually have a conversation with that cow. And if that cow saw some goblins go over there or something, then it would tell you that it saw some goblins go over there. And that's the kind of branch things that it just opens up. It's just so good.
It's very similar then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very much the same, to be honest.
I'll tell you what, mate. When you get 5 minutes, just send me something where I can look it up and have a read.
Yeah, 100%.
If you do a new adventure, I'll jump in with you, man. Certainly.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we don't, then if the lot that I do it with now, if they decide they don't want to do it, there's no reason why we can't start one. I mean, there's me, you, there's Carl Rossi, Mama Flossie may play, Jaminio, you know, so we'll have enough people, and we've got 2 people that can DM anyway, so why not?
I wouldn't DM it. I'll tell you for why, because I don't know about it at this stage. I'd rather be a character. And because there's no way. I don't think you can DM a game until you've actually got experience of playing it as a character.
I do agree with that. But one thing I'll say about DMing, when I started back doing it, is there's no way you can do it wrong, because it's like it's your story. They're just in it. So if you decide to say a fireball comes down or they pass a check and you don't want them to pass that check, you can say that they didn't pass that check. Because you run it, you're not wrong in that respect, because you're running the story.
Yeah, but I think it's a different game now.
Yeah.
I haven't got the experience. I mean, I started DMing after about 18 months. That was when we were playing every week. So I'd got a lot of experience and knowledge of how to play the game. And I think you've got to have that experience to know how to run that particular version. If you get my meaning,
Right, Tony, mate.
If you got to have that experience in that version, and
Yeah,
I'd just be happy to be a character and participate. To be honest.
I think that probably would be the best way to start it, because I mean I didn't DM until I did the first thing. But I mean there was one thing I did in this game which I was so pleased that it actually happened, because as a DM it's like it might happen and it might not, and I was reading through it and I was like, that is awesome, that's got to happen in this game, and I could have just made it happen, to be honest. And what it was basically us going into this cave, because on Roll20 you've got dynamic lighting. So they can see what they can see. So basically, there's an orc on the bridge, and if one of them goes too far, the orc sees him, and if the orc sees him, he goes back to the other orcs. And then I just said this mighty crash. You don't know what's happened, and it was basically they was hammering away to release water, so it caused a flood, and all this water comes rushing down this tunnel. And then they've all got rolled dexterity checks, and loads of them just got hit by this water and flown straight out of the cave into the woods again. It was so good, and I'm so glad it happened, because I really wanted to sort of enact it out. And you've got wolves tied up, and then people turn around and go, oh yeah, some of them will say, oh, I want to antagonize it and all that kind of stuff. So basically, this ain't part of it. The wolves stay attached because they're not strong enough to get off the rope, so they kept doing it. Oh no, antagonize it, just tickle its nose. So I just went, right, okay, you tickle its nose, it rips off the chains and jumps straight at your face. Okay. And then it's a massive battle, and they've got 3 wolves trying to bite them all. They managed to get rid of 2, and then one of the guys had animal handling. So he was able to actually make the wolf a pet, and he still actually has that wolf as a pet now. So yeah, I mean, the opportunities are absolutely endless. Really, there's nothing really you can't do. To be fair, I mean, you can. I mean, that guy that was playing it on YouTube, he started playing it, and he came up with this thing where basically he had to satisfy the Lord's wife. And so he had to keep rolling to see if he actually satisfied her, or if she was like, oh, I'm not, yeah, get off me. You know what I mean? So that was just adding a sort of fun element, and it was actually really funny. And every time she seen him afterwards, her eyes was like, oh, come upstairs and all this kind of stuff. It was absolutely brilliant, honestly. It was brilliant, so good. Love it.
If you I don't know how this works. If you've got to create a character, yeah, it was always done, wasn't it? By you rolling the dice,
Yeah, that's right,
and all that. So, isn't it open for abuse? If you, I mean, when I, created my characters years ago, you roll the dice and you pick the best.
That's right, yeah.
Out of 3 rolls.
Same. Yeah, it's same as that.
But isn't it open to abuse? If I've got to sit here in front of you as the dungeon master, and I've got to roll 3 times 3 sets of 6 dice, yeah, as it was, and I say, oh yeah, I could be lying. I could be saying,
yeah, true.
Yeah, I've got 18. And that's perfect for a fighter,
right
person. So that, I think, is a little bit iffy. I mean, if that's how it works, it would be much better if it could be on screen and computer generated, because then everything could see what you're doing. So you can't lie, can you?
Well, to be honest, you can't, because at the end of the day, I can just cast true seeing and then see through your eyes.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I mean, I can't. I'm just messing around. There's no way I can. I've actually,
In fact, it's like I used to play a lot of golf, right? And I used to play with a guy who was an absolute shredded wheat, fucking cheat.
Mm.
I used to say to him, man, all you're doing is you're cheating yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get that.
I don't care if you've beaten me today because I know you haven't.
Mm.
Because
Exactly.
I've watched you cheat 5 times on the course. So
Yeah.
You think you've won, but I know you haven't.
Mm.
So
yeah, but some people don't have that mentality, though, do they? I mean, it's like when they're playing games online and stuff like that, and they're cheating and got wall hacks and things like that. So they're just shooting you through the wall, but their mentality is just that I came to the top of the table. I don't care how I did it. Whereas us, being from back in our time, you're like, if someone if you was out on the street and someone was cheating and stuff like that, you'd probably smash them in the mouth.
Yeah, I mean, this particular guy. I haven't played golf since 2019 when the pandemic came in, and I used to play every week. I used to play every week with him, and I used to just go.
Answer that.
I'd be like
answer
this.
that, Jez.
Go on, mate.
Answer that.
The question is, if you had Dungeons and Dragons with Arteta and Edu, what would you do? I would have Staff of the Magi, which is a very powerful tool, and they would be vaporized, basically.
Yeah, I'd do I'd bring an Eye of the Beholder in. You remember them? Oh yeah, Eye of the Beholder. Yeah. If you don't do stuff within so many times, he has a disintegration spell, and if he hits you with that, game over, mate. You're gone.
Hang on. Before let me hang on. Let me just look this one up in the monster manual. And yes, this one.
Yeah.
Eye of the Deep.
Ugly looking thing. Is that what they called? Is that what they called it?
Eye of the Deep. Takes you down and drowns you. There you go. Unlucky.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's some serious stuff. I mean, even like an owlbear. An owlbear can be an absolute nightmare. I mean, that rhymed. Bloody hell, that must be Eminem. Yeah, an owlbear can be an absolute nightmare because basically, it's odd. I mean, if you've seen the film, you'll have seen one anyway. But basically, it's got a multi-attack, claw and beak, and they're both evil. If you manage to roll okay and you manage to do, because you do like a saving throw and all that kind of stuff, if you manage to actually get away from it. So basically, let me explain this a little bit as well. Every creature or every person will have an armor class. Yeah. If you're attacking a monster, yeah, you've got to hit that armor class or get higher. You probably know this anyway, but I'll explain it. If that happens, you then have to roll for the damage. But first of all, the roll has to say that you've hit the creature in the first place. And it's exactly the same with the Dungeon Master. The spells, pretty much, you just click on them and they come up. Well, actually, I'm talking about on the PC. But one thing I will say to you, though, Jez, is like you're on about the rolls and all this, that, and the other. Well, there's a thing called Character Mancer on there now, where you can sort of pick your archetype and all that kind of stuff and what class you are and everything like that. And then it'll do the rolls and then you do the rolls afterwards. So you're not actually sat there rolling the dice. It's actually on the screen. But there's still an element of trust there. There's still got to be an element of trust there. Yeah, you know what I mean? I can look at your character sheet, but I don't know if you've cheated.
I get that. And I'll tell you what. You've actually got me quite fired up for it. I won't lie. I'll actually look forward to it whenever it transcribes. It'd be quite fun, actually. Quite a laugh. I mean, if there's people in here that would want to join into it,
definitely.
I've got no idea about this new version at all. I'll have to search it, look into it, and it'd be quite fun to actually have a chat group one here. Carl, Mama Flossie, Jaminio, whoever else. It'd be a giggle. It'd be a right giggle.
Definitely.
It'd all be
100%.
novices. Well, us, not you, but us.
Yeah.
Novices.
I'm still a bit novice. I mean, I've only done one campaign, so. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that, and we can do it as a stream as well, if you want. So we can all be on as a stream.
I'm up for that, man. I'm big up for it. You got me. You got me. What's the term?
Never asking me. I can't get a term right. Save my life.
Anyway,
sky is endless, mate. Sky is endless.
I'll really get into it. I'll really get into it. You know
You'll love it, mate.
Yeah, so I think you want to put out at some point on your group chat. It's up for it because
definitely
it'd be a right bloody laugh, actually.
Yeah,
especially
it's something different as well, isn't it?
Especially as a little group of us. Whet his appetite. That's the one.
That's it. Yeah, whet his appetite.
Well done, man. Man with education. Obviously. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. It'd be a gas.
Well, I mean, we could basically because I mean, the latest I tend to stream now doing these live streams is probably about 6. But I mean, we could have, because I normally do the game at the weekend with them guys. I'm not sure if we're doing it this weekend, but I mean, I can have a look into it. I mean, we could run the same campaign really that I'm running now, but that would only be, I think, 5 people. Well, I mean, because nobody really knows what they're doing, I don't see no reason why you can't have more than that many people. But I don't know how it run, whether it has to be that amount of people. Maybe not. But I mean, if it's just a trainer and just like a start off kind of thing, then, there's no reason why we can't do that. And then everybody role plays their character as well. Where I do, where I pretend to be a woman, which is really weird, but that's how it works. You can dress up if you want; it's entirely up to you. But that wouldn't be a bad idea to actually do that. When I'll finish this one with these guys, and then basically see what's happening. If we're going to do another one, I'll see if I can get 1 or 2 of you on that. But I like the idea of us lot doing it as well. I think that would be quite cool.
Well, it'd be nice because we all have got to know each other on here. We communicate, have a laugh, and out of each other and everything. So it'd be a bit of a fun situation. Whoever's up for it, because we'd all be pretty much novices in this one. I've never played it. I don't know. Nobody else has that I can see in the chat. So why not? Just give it a go and have a laugh.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the link for Roll20, which I don't know how to show things on screen, so I can't do it. But there's a thing called Roll20 that you Google. Yeah, I mean, well, probably obvious how you search for it, but a thing called Roll20, and basically I've got the full package. So I've got the dynamic lighting and all that kind of stuff. You have your character and stuff like that, and then I just go through the story, and all you guys sort of make your mind up what you want to do. But it's like one thing I will warn you though, if you're being too stupid, I will punish you.
Yeah, quite right.
You know what I mean? I will, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did that in a game. I had this. A friend of mine invited this fella in. He was an absolute arsewipe, and he just been an absolute prick all the time. I killed him.
Yeah.
As a dungeon master, as the dungeon. I set this task up that they had to do.
Yeah.
They had to go down this tunnel, and then there was this like 100 feet long pool of water, right? And there was only one way to get across it, and that was to command a boat, right? Anyway, this one guy was an arsewipe, decided he'd swim. And I said, okay. So he decided to swim it, took all his armour off, right? Oh, no, that's right. At the end of the 100 foot was the boat. There was a boat. So he decided to take all his armour off, swim up to the boat, bring it back. Yeah? Because he'd been such a bloody prick, unbeknownst to him, sitting down in the depths was a crocodile. And it ate him.
I love that. I love that. That's brilliant. You know what? It's funny because I did exactly the same thing to somebody who was twatting around. He was just mucking around, just generally, I'm having to go, mate, sure go. Mate, sure go. Sure go. And I was like, come on, mate, if you're going to play, then play. Oh, yeah, don't start and all this. I went, mate, I'm DM, don't mess. And so anyway, I just turned around and I went, the wizard makes a portal, right? And it takes you into the portal. As it takes you into the portal, this is the funny bit, like what you said. As it takes you through to the portal, all your armor comes off. The next thing you know, you're on a world which is full of undead, and you're stood right in the middle. What you gonna do? And he went, I went, you're gonna do fuck all, mate. You're gonna get eaten, mate. That is what's going to happen. And then I even sort of went, I carried it on, and I went, like, as you try and sort of move, it bites your skin and it rips off, and you can actually hear your skin ripping off as another zombie bites your eyelid and rips your eye straight out its socket. And I just went through all. I told the others, I was like, guys, give me like 10 minutes. I'm going to fuck this guy up. And I just went for ages just because I've got an horror brain anyway. I write horror a lot of the time. So I just went full in there and just like, and it was like, I mean, even at the end, he turned around. I mean, there's only like his finger left or something like that. He said, is there anything you can do? I went, yeah, there's one thing you can do. Fuck off and never come and play this game again. Yeah. See you later, mate.
The thing is, you used to get people like that.
Yeah.
And that guy, he came in once. Say a friend of mine invited him in. He never came back because he was a complete prick. Anyway, mate, I've got to bounce.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
I've really enjoyed this chat. Really.
If you've got to bounce, you still got your spring boots on.
No.
Your boots of springs.
I lost the but I've loved this chat. I really have. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, mate. Chat your stuff out. Chat your stuff out. Chat your stuff out.
Oh, yeah, Arsenal history and more. YouTube, all Arsenal's things and history and all that. And yeah,
as well.
It's still bloody sore, man. Little bastard. Got me on the end of the nose.
Is that where it got you? My mate got it right there where his eye is. Just missed going in his eye.
Yeah, nasty. Little shit flew into him and stung me.
Mate, the last time I got stung by a bee, a wasp. I was sat in bed reading a comic, and I felt something on my big toe, and I went to sort of scratch or whatever, and the fucking bastard stung me right on my big toe. And I went outside. I'm not a lunatic, but I probably was at this point. I went outside, got a lump hammer, found this found this wasp, and smacked it with a fucking lump hammer.
Yeah. Bloody useless bastard things. It's still Still hurts now, to be honest.
I bet it does. Yeah, not nice.
Fucking little shit.
Anyway, shout your channel out, yeah.
Yeah, Arsenal history, more man, all that, everything Arsenal. Getting everything on. I get people on, have a chat about football in general. Friday upcoming, I've got the Yeti on to talk about the pre-season. No, not pre-season. Premier League game, first game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal against the Nottingham Forest, and that'll be a fun stream. Tomorrow is the weekly podcast. You're on tomorrow night as well. Early doors football and Kenny Ken, and we'll have a general chat about how we see the season's going to go in our perspectives with Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and the Arsenal. So yeah, mate, I love this stream. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's nice to also sort of talk about things that's not football, because at the minute Forest ain't doing jack shit anyway. So I suppose we'll go through that on Friday. I think I think we are selling Brendan Johnson because we're in that situation where it seems like something's got to happen before the other things happen. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. I don't get attached to players. I get attached to clubs, and I love my fucking club. Yes. Right, anyway, okay, guys, thank you everyone for being in here. It's been absolutely awesome. And take it easy, guys, and I'll see you in the group chat with the real ones. See you later, guys.
Take care.
Bop.